activity being conducted together by Kuru University, together with the team from Nakasongola District Production Department, Physical Entomology, together with the Uganda Wildlife Authority. So here we are in Kafu River. Kafu is one of the rivers that fits into Lake Kyoga region. So it has a lot of success flies within. So we are deploying the success traps. These are the ones which are called Biconical traps. And the first thing in deployment of these traps is to identify good habitat, good locations. So once you have identified the site, the second most important thing is to clear the bushes around the site. So currently one of our colleagues is doing the clearance, and then we'll set the trap. So once you have cleared the trap, the reason for clearing is like creating a runway. A runway is like for the aeroplanes to land in. So once the site has been cleared like now here, clear the site very well to make it open, because the flies tend to fly in one single direction. So after that, you fix in the pole. This is called a pole, center pole. To make sure it's firmly well, you hit it up using the hammer to make it sure that it's firm. Once it's firm, you can really feel it that it's strong enough, because the wind will be blowing. You don't want the trap to fall down. So once the trap is firm there, then the second thing that you do, come and you deploy the Biconical trap. So at the bottom of it, it's like a pyramid. At the bottom of it here is an entry point where you can be able to insert the pole. So when they are designing this, there is a hole which is created, which you fix in and then pull it downwards. After pulling it downwards, before you complete the entire cycle, this is called the cone. So the cone pushes forward and down. You go up, from up. Once it has entered, then you pull the trap downwards to enable it to access the hole. So there is a hole here which you put. Once you have put, make sure it's firm enough. So where is the cage? We then now use the cage. This is going to be our point under which the insects will be able to enter inside. So you first need to label, give the ID or identification number for that specific trap. So you put it inside and then you hold it firmly like this. And then you create an angle under which you can be able to twist it. You twist it until you see that the nettings are very stable and firm. Then you put the rubber band the way Teresa is putting. And then, so you have done 3 things here. You have put the pole, you have put the net, you have put the cone, then the other thing that you have put here is the cage. This netting here is called a cage. So I'm going to explain how this trap works. So flies generally in their physiology, we understand that they are attracted by color. Most of them blue color. They look at the blue color like it's an animal. So they will make an attempt to come to that animal, to take blood from that animal. So wherever they are, the visibility, that's why it's very, very important to clear the area. They will be able to see like it's an animal. So they will come from that location, flying very straight line up to here. They will land over here. So as they land here like another insect, it will try to see whether it's an animal really. But along the process, it will enter through these holes inside. It will realize this is not really an animal as such. So it will enter through these holes, and in the design, the holes allow them to enter inside. So they will try to rest in the dark area. But as they rest in the dark area, they will see so much light coming from upwards. So because of that, they will realize that no, I need to fly away. So they will fly upwards. So as they fly upwards, they will come and enter into our cage. So this is how the race will. So we are very, very honored that we are sharing this with you. The other important thing is to put the grease down. So you have your trap with a level ID. The additional thing we are putting in is the grease. We know that these insects are very proteinous in nature. So other insects like the ants, we will be looking for them. They will smell and then they will come. So very, very importantly, you need to put grease down there. A grease works as a trap for insects to avoid insects from crawling up. If they try to come upwards and they touch here, they will get stuck. So because of that, it acts as a barrier to control other ants or the other insects from the crawling insects from crawling up. So this is what we call the Biconical Trap, which we use for population dynamic studies to know how many insects are in that area. The most important thing in sensor work is identification of good sites, which are some vegetations, but at the same time the shades to be able to protect the insect. What we are doing here, we are trying to get this insect for other different studies, like dynamics of the flies in this place. We also want to check on the infection rates, want to look at other endosymbionts that they are carrying, with an idea of developing vaccines which we can be able to use to control Nagana or sleeping sickness. So identifying an area is very, very important, and it should be visible to the entire area that you have identified, so that all the insects which are there can be able to fly over here. So it's kind of very critical to get an area which is open, but also here you need to an area where these insects can be able to, the shade can be able to provide shelter for the insects. Also importantly is to make sure you take care of the distance between down and the pole. You don't want it to go a little bit down. So the distance from here up down here should be good enough. It should not touch down. So when you are setting the trap, it's very, very important. You get to see the distance between it. At least need some few meters upwards. You don't put it very close down to avoid the trap from touching down. So very, very importantly, make sure you maintain the distance here. And then as I'd already explained, that the insects will come from there. They will they think this is an animal, and then they will enter to rest around here, and then they will move upwards. And then once they move upwards, they will get trapped into the cage that we have put up the other side. But don't forget not to put the grease. The grease is very, very important for these other crawling insects. They always eat the flies, so it's very, very important to put the grease down to control those traps in that this acts like a trap. If they touch here, they get trapped here, and they will try to avoid going upwards. Similarly, when you are setting this, you don't need to put it near the tree, because those insects are also very clever. If they touch here, they will start crawling in, and then they will start eating the insects that you have gotten up here. So it's also very important that you don't put them underneath or touching the branches of the tree to avoid these other crawling insects from coming to feed on the flies that you have trapped. Thank you very much. Importantly, when you are setting traps, the traps should not communicate with each other. Communicating means you need to keep a distance of between 100 meters to 300 meters. That is the recommended size, the distance between each trap. If you are setting a trap, it's very, very important to make sure the distance of 100 to 300 meters. They should not communicate with each other. So the other most important thing what we are doing here is the species that we are looking is a little bit biased. We are looking at a sesafly called Biconical Trap. It's a riverine species. It likes living near water. So down here is River Kafu. So you expect the belt to be having so many insects or sesaflies, which is called Biconical Trap, a riverine species. We have 3 major groups of sesafly. In Uganda here, we have all of them within the country. The one that we're currently interested in is what we call Biconical Trap. But when you move towards the park, you have another species which is called Biconical submuscitans that we have within the country. The other third group is what we call Biconical pallidipes. So pallidipes, those ones tend to be outside the water systems. So as we did explain that flies go through one direction when they're flying. So you need to clear a runway when you're setting a trap. You need to clean the vegetation around. After cleaning the vegetation around, then you put in your pole, center pole. Once you put in the center pole, then you'll put the cone. This one is called a cone. And then you'll be able to put the cage on top. Your fingers, make sure you hold it firmly. After that, importantly, you look for this hole. Look at the design, the trap. It has a hole here. This hole enables you to insert the trap, and then you can be able to put your cone. So this one we have put it exactly at the riverbed of River Kafu. River Kafu feeds into the Nile, where River Nile, it flows and feeds into the other bigger river. After that, once you are putting the cone, you will now put the other side component, which is the cage. But importantly, on the cage, you need to put the trap number or identification number, because tomorrow we will start harvesting after 1 day. So, but when we're harvesting, you don't have time to distinguish. So this identifier number is very critical to be put inside so that you can be able to track the flies that you have collected in that day. As usual, you make sure it enters inside, you address it a bit, and then you turn. Very, very important, you turn it, and then it holds the neck of the cone. So once you have turned it and it's firm, then you can put the rubber band. So also the rubber band, don't put it all at once. It's very, very important you create a node on it, and then you insert it through up to the neck of the cone. So the trap now is firm, and then that's good enough. Underneath we have already put the grease. So we'll start observing this after 12 hours. We'll keep on harvesting for 72 hours, and then we would have established what has happened in terms of the population of the flies within here. But very importantly, as you are doing this, you need to be aware of your environment. I said there are so many crocodiles down here. There could be so many snakes. So always when you're working in the field, you don't have to be absent-minded. You have to be very, very aware of your environment so that you don't get into challenges with crocodiles in the field. Like for example, these areas which are heavily infested with crocodiles along the river system. Clear the area very well. What I was talking about, like things like this, if this falls onto the neck, the ants, those crawling insects can be able to get into the net. So you make sure that that is avoided, because those insects can come through here, Then they create a line, and then that line joins up into the cage where the insects are. So you try to avoid any contact of other surrounding areas, either the sticks or the bushes, with the net to avoid those insects from crawling up. Thank you. So